What is up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Samar. I'm an IMG. I graduated last year from China Medical University, and I'm here in London pursuing getting a license to work and further study. Now, in order for you to be eligible, you need to get your registration by the GMC. This is the medical organization governing the giving out of license and all that stuff here in London. Short for General, what did I say, Jenny? Studying too much. General Medical Council. So, GMC. Anyways, this video is specifically for non-EU citizens or graduates. So, because there are some routes that EU graduates don't need to go, or EU citizens don't need to follow. Alright, so this is for non-EU. My people, live long, stay strong. Anyways, I divided this video into four umbrella sections. As you can see, we have English proficiency, the routes through which you can apply and get a license, the type of registrations or the licenses that GMC provides and will give you, and lastly CGS, which is short for Certificate of Good Standing. Alright, so I've put the timestamp of each of them. You just want to skip and go to that part. So if you're wondering why I'm starting with English language or the proficiency in English language, is because no matter what route you use or you choose to apply through, this English language or the proof showing that your English language is good matters. Like, you need to show that. Now, before I explain further, I'll just give you a little overview of how many routes we have. We have 3 routes. We have the plab route. We all know what plab is. It's a test, license test. We have the postgraduate qualification route or route, whatever you say. And we have being sponsored by an institution. Okay, so if you're applying through plab, they accept IELTS, they accept OET, and they also accept the fact that if your PMQ, your primary medical qualification, was done in English, examined in English, 75% of the time your communication with patients was in English, it'll be accepted. Now, for IELTS, there's a requirement. You need to have 7 in each section and 7.5 your total band. OET, you need to have B grade in each section. And for the PMQ, as I've said, there's a list on GMC's website. As long as your school's name is not there, you're good to go. But if you have studied in English, but unfortunately your school's name is there, well, you're going to have to write an English exam, just like I did. Okay, that's for plab. Now, for postgraduate qualification and sponsorship routes, IET and OET accepted as well. Same requirement. The reason why I said same requirement is that requirement is good enough for anything, because that's a standard requirement anyways. So let's say you have passed an English test somewhere else in another country within the last 2 years. Maybe in Australia you've done it, they'll take that as well. And since the the sponsorship is a route where you're getting sponsored by institution, if you have already fulfilled their requirements, so the GMC will not intervene and question it. And the last is, let's say you have worked in a native English speaking country within the past 2 years. That's also accepted. Okay, section 2, routes. Like I've said, there's plab, PGQ, and as well as sponsorship. So we'll talk about PGQ and sponsorship first, because there's less detail to talk about as compared to plab. The PGQ is short for postgraduate qualification. If you have that and the GMC accepts it, that's good and fine. You're good to go. But yeah, there's always a but. When it comes to GMC, there's so many buts. The but is there's a specific list on GMC's website containing both UK accepted institutions where people do PGs and overseas. If the institutions your institution's name is not there, or your university's name is not there, it will not get accepted. That's one. Secondly, let's say your institution's name is not there and you just still want to confirm. You can email write to UKMRC. That's the research center, I think, that governs this PG stuff. If they still don't accept it, there are some instances they might accept it. Maybe it's your name's your university's name is just not there, or maybe something happened. And let's say they accept it, fine and good. If they don't accept it, well, you still have 2 more routes to go. Alright, now let's go for second one, sponsorship. From the word, then you might have understood. You will get sponsored by some specific institutions which are already approved by GMC. Now, the reason why I'm not going to talk much about them is because each of these institutions or whatever organizations that will sponsor you have their own specific requirements. So basically, if you can meet their requirements, GMC will not question your, degree. As long as that specific sponsor has accepted you and sent you a job offer, you're good to go. So that is sponsorship. I'll put all the links of all the relevant lists I've spoken so far, everything down in the description box. Alright, lastly, plab. Plab is short for Professional Professional Linguistic and Assessment Board. It's the test. For now it's plab, but by 2023 it's going to be changed to UKMLA. Right now only students like us, the non-EU, have to write it, but by 2023 what I've read so far is is going to be an exam that even the UK students who are studying here in the UK, in the universities here, will have to write it. So it's going to be I think it's probably going to be the same as USMLE, whereby USMLE is for both, medical students in the US as well as foreigners. So personally I feel like it might be harder than plab, or the structure of exams and the way they question it might be harder. Might be harder because it's now a standard for both. Alright, so I'll talk about each of the parts. There are 2 parts. There is part 1 and there's part 2. But before I speak about them, let me just talk about the fact on how you apply for it. Like I've said before, first section, you need to have your IELTS. IELTS must be done within 2 years. Normally the validity for IELTS is 2 years in itself, so that should give you a hint. You need to have your PMQ, your primary medical qualification, or in some instances I've read on the GMC website where it says if you're in your final year, you've done your final examination, but you have not yet received your degree, but maybe you want to write it, then you need a letter from your dean stating that you have passed your final year exam, and send it to GMC. I have not heard of anyone trying it, nor have I ever read of anyone doing it. I always read people doing it after they graduate, so I cannot say with certainty. It's much more safer if you just do it after you graduate. That is 2. Thirdly, you need to open a GMC account. Just go to GMC's website, sign up, push your details, your name, your qualification dates, that you graduated, all that. They'll ask you. There's a lot of questions. There's some really deep personal questions as well. Now, once you made your account, that account is everything for you as a doctor in GMC. This is where you upload your IELTS. Now, when I mean upload your IELTS, you don't really physically need to take a scan copy and upload it. Every IELTS score test has a specific ID number. When you're writing it down, you just write that number in the IELTS upload section on the your GMC account. You put on your score. Once it's accepted, then they'll give you access to book your plab exams. Though you cannot book your plab exam without putting your IELTS or your OET score. Okay, now let's talk about each of these exams. Now, plab 1 it was for £235, but after April, now they added 5 more, now it's £239. It's done 4 times a year, as you can see here. So March, June, September and November. The dates are on the website as well. I'll put the link if you want to see, check it out yourself. And I'll also put the link of the list of all the countries this exam is, they all have test centers. I don't think they're many, maybe they're like 30 something. So you can check them yourself. What does it comprise of? 180 MCQ questions, 180 minutes. 180 MCQ questions, 180 minutes. 1 minute per question. Yeah. You need to know that. That is one of the biggest factor of this exam. Time management. I've heard so many people talk about it. Time management, you need to be able to manage your time, because sometimes the questions are very lengthy and you screw up your whole time. Basically, now, if you want to know what you're tested on, it's 3 things: clinical assessment, clinical management, as well as basic knowledge and past experience. All the 180 questions that come out are under these 3 domains. So this is what you're basically getting tested on. If you're wondering what is the test score, they use the Angoff method. What that means is they just take an average from all the students and make that, I think that make that the highest mark or the pass mark. That's what they say. That's what I read myself as well. I'll put the relevant links or everything down in the comment section, description below. Lastly, results of this exam come out 6 weeks from the day you write it. So if I wrote it today, 6 weeks from today, the results will be out. I think by 10-11 day in the morning they upload the results. Now let's go to plab 2. Plab 2 is an OSCE. If you don't know what an OSCE is, pretty sure you know it if you're watching this. An objective structured clinical examination. You need to write plab 2 within 2 years of writing plab 1. Unless if I wrote plab 1 today or I got the results and I waited 2 years later before writing plab 2, plab 1 has expired. I need to do plab 1 again. I need to do plab 2 within 2 years of writing plab 1 today. Understand? So I hope that gets through. It has 18 scenarios. So 18 different scenarios during the exam. Each scenario 8 minutes. And so that is a total of about 3 hours to 3 hours and 15 minutes. If you're wondering, what are you tested on? You're tested on 3 things. 3 things here as well. Data gathering, technical and assessment skills, 1. 2. Clinical management skills, and lastly, interpersonal skills. Not remembering facts, not reciting facts. The above mentioned 3 things. But I've heard the most important one is interpersonal skills. I've seen people who have failed because of interpersonal skills. So if you think you have bad interpersonal skills, maybe it's time to focus on how to make it better and focus on it. Now the dates for the exam normally is done throughout the year. There's only one test location, which is in Manchester. And it's done throughout the year. But due to the ongoing pandemic, all exams, the plab 2 exams so far have been cancelled till 29 June. So I don't know, maybe after that they'll come back. But so far, they're all cancelled. Okay, so let's talk about types of registration. First and foremost, just know this in the back of your head. You need to apply and get your registration approved within 2 years of passing plab 2 and any English exam. I'll give you an example. If I was to pass plab 2 today, and let's just say my English exam, which I did 2 years ago, has expired, I will need to do an English exam again. You getting or passing plab due to your English exam, because remember that's the first step, then plab. Now on the way, after you have done your plab, your English expires. You need to do it again because the GMC requires both plab and English, and your English has to be valid whilst you have done your plab and you're applying for GMC. See, these two have to be valid. So within 2 years, you go for GMC. Never forget that. Alright, so now let's talk about the 2 types. We have the full registration and we have the provisional registration. Full registration is given to people who have shown that their internship is accepted by GMC. GMC has a criteria for the internship which they accept. and if yours is accepted, fine and good. Welcome to UK, full registration. Now, if you're wondering what is a requirement, this is it. Now, sometimes some universities have internship based 12 to 18 months. You need to have minimum of internal medicine minimum of 3 months, surgery minimum of 3 months. If it is above 18 months, your internship, internal medicine, surgery each 6 months. And let's say you did PGQ. Well, I don't. The reason why I don't add PG into this is because when you do PG, you have basically an internship before doing that as well, so you don't even need to worry about it. But this is a requirement, and if these requirements meet to GMCs, well, like I said, fine and good. Secondly, provisional registration. That is, you probably understood now. If you have no internship, or your internship for some reason does not meet their criteria, then you will be given provisional registration, which means you can only apply through foundation year program. That is the UK system, 2-year system of internship. You have to go through that, then be able to work as doctor in other places. You have to go through the foundation years. The foundation years program have their own requirements. Quite hefty, to be honest. Their requirements are very confusing. If you want me to talk about their requirements, let me know down in the comment section. For 2021, they released their timeline and requirements, I think yesterday. So you have to go through that. From the name, this is a certificate which is given to you, which entails and talks about how good you have been in the hospital. You haven't broken any medical laws or ethical laws. That is what the GMC needs or requires, only if 1, in the past 5 years you have worked in a medical authority which is not in the UK. Maybe you have worked in Egypt, maybe in the past 5 years. The past 5 years. I'm putting full emphasis, past 5 years. You have worked in Egypt, maybe you have worked in Nigeria under the MDC, and you have worked in Ghana, India, Pakistan, wherever. That medical authority of that specific country needs to provide you with the CGS in the past 5 years if you have worked. 1. 2. If in the past 5 years you worked in more than one different under medical authority, maybe last year you worked in Ghana, the year before that you worked in Nigeria, a year before that you worked in Mauritius, each of those medical authorities need to provide. Thirdly, in the past 5 years, if you have gotten a registration from a separate entity, maybe the Indian Medical Council, but you have not worked, but you still have gotten their registration in the past 5 years, you still need to provide one. Fourthly, let's say the specific country you've worked in the past 5 years does not have a medical authority for some reason, or maybe they just don't have one. You need to write to the GMC asking for further details. I don't know what they will say for that, but that is that. Alright, so this is basically the synopsis of how you can get licensed here in the UK. I think I've spoken, well, not extensively, but a little bit in depth. If you still have any questions, you can let me know down in the comment section. If you have any suggestions for videos, you can let me know. If you want me to make a video about foundation years, let me know about that. I also forgot to talk about the resources you can use for plab exams. For plab 1, I made a video. I'll put a link here. You can check it out yourself. All the resources other students have used and have been proven to be good before it changes to UKMLA, because I feel like if you have the chance to write the plab, do it before it changes to UKMLA, because I know it's going to be a totally different structure, probably, since they're including the UK students here as well. So anyways, I hope this was not long. I just wanted to help everyone out. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm going to write plab in September, so I'm preparing for that. A few days ago I posted a video of me studying real time. If you want more of that, I will post another episode. Just that video took me a lot of time to upload, like the internet was so bad that day. But anyways, I hope this video was informative. Do like, to subscribe. Road to 1000.